Hi, I'm sure you're wondering what's in the box. I know I don't look like someone who works with the homeless community. I was feeling cute this morning, might delete later. Some months ago, I polled different topics on Instagram, and this particular topic won. So if you don't like this particular TEDx talk, like that, lor, I'm rebelling. Dr. Stephen Strange once said, "Do you know what's the greatest gift anyone can receive in his lifetime? The greatest gift anyone can receive is to have the chance, just once in their lives, to make a difference." Those words echoes the belief I had growing up that you can achieve anything you set out to do, that your upbringing does not define who you are, and the only person who needs to give you permission is yourself. Growing up, I was accepted into sub-science stream but decided to do pure arts. I worked in the film industry for over a decade simply because I love storytelling. Despite my folks not really understanding the arts or taking it as a proper career choice, uh, when they finally kind of got around to it, I left my industry to pursue my social cause full time. I live in a generation where the idea of millennials of today would rather invest in opportunities, experiences, and travel rather than the conventional world my parents come from, like owning properties, cars, and sticking to that same stable job for the next 30 years. What's that you say? Are we rebelling every time we travel? This was a recent trip to Korea. I asked for a window seat. I got the seat, not the window. The notion of living for today, going against the status quo or swimming against the tide, is not something new. Hashtag YOLO. All the great people we seem to quote from today in history were once rebels of their time, going against what their parents had hoped for, challenging social norms, charting their own journey, from Steve Jobs to Gandhi, from Jesus to Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa to Iron Man. They were viewed as troublemakers for having an opinion, for being too idealistic in their direction and life choices. They are misguided, no future. They were told they will not succeed but fail if they continue down this path. Sounds familiar? Sure, we may not live up to those people. But today, as I speak, there are more young people challenging the world around them. They're looking ways to save the environment, to help their communities, speaking out on mental health, standing up for equality, and championing basic human rights. They're not scholars or millionaires. They simply exist in the world around us each and every day. I encounter such brilliant minds with the biggest hearts on my way to work. They exist on my Instagram. They are our neighbors, our family, and our friends. We are a product of our time. My grandparents came from a time during the war where raising a family was a simple life's mission. My grandfather drove trains in the Malayan railways during some of the most turmoil time of our country's history. And he did that till the day he retired to provide for his family. Ambitions and dreams took a back seat to the harsh realities of life. My parents, this was my first trip at 1 month old. My dad took me back to Penang to visit my grandparents. Come from a time where they always told me we wanted to have a life our parents couldn't provide, which meant owning a car or going to university or college for the first time in my family's history, to have a stable job, to own a house, to start a family. That was the measure of being successful, or the equivalent to happiness. I realized that so-called bucket lists, or dreams as they had, were only achieved closer towards retirement. They worked so hard their whole lives only to travel to places in the last quarter of their life. And some couldn't even be done due to age, the lack of strength, courage, or simply having no ambitions to do it anymore. Time was working against them in some sense. Our parents weren't able to travel as often as we do. There wasn't that possibility to have as much fun. They didn't have so many opportunities to start a new business. Technology and accessibility was only being developed, not to mention how expensive it all was during their time. So they invested in cars and houses, and we simply don't want that. I come from a generation that wants change today. We choose to study one thing for the longest time only to decide that we could do so much more. We choose to chart our paths rather than be told how it should be. We may not be able to afford a house. We choose to use public transport. And we would invest our money in what fuels our passion and our dreams. We are looking for more than just financial independence, but flexible schedule and geographical independence, work from home, as they say. What's your definition of being successful? Investing in experiences, traveling, doing extreme sports, building startups, or maybe queuing up for that boba tea because it's just the cheapest out there, or simply to change the world. Millennials have started to have no interest in material things. Gone are the days when owning a Ferrari was a thing. Experiences help us make friends. Social interaction between people are crucial to whether they feel happy or not. Would you rather hear about how someone has spent a year traveling the world or how many apartments they have owned? Material things will depreciate over time, but experiences will not, and no one can steal it. Even a bad experience can become a good story. I invested my time in exploring the world, in embracing cultures and experiences, and in once in a lifetime opportunities. I invested my time in learning, in watching Avengers Endgame 6 times in the cinema. I'm proud of that. But most of all, in people and relationships. None of these are guaranteed to bring us happiness or success. They may not make us rich monetarily, and they may even lead to disappointment at times. Then why do it? We do it because we can, because we have the freedom of choice, the ability to decide what brings meaning to our lives. I started working with the homeless community 20 years ago. And in that time, I've gone on crazy adventures. I've overcome fears, love and loss, learned from my shortcomings, and lived to tell that tale. I stand here today richer for it because I came this way. I'm living my bucket list each and every day. Even my failures make for interesting stories. 10 years ago, I made a mental list of all the things I wanted to do before I hit 30. From starting my NGO to growing it into other countries, meeting my idols, and even giving a TEDx talk. Time was my only motivation. Now, it's been 3 years since my last TEDx, and since that time, my NGO runs autonomously without me. I've converted from an iPhone to an Android user. I've shorter hair, not by choice, it thins after 30. I don't swim with sharks anymore, but the work I do in empowering the homeless continues to greater levels. I was told by many people who are no longer my friends that you will not amount to anything if you continue to help the homeless, that no one will follow you along this path. I raised an army. This, thank you. This is Uncle Amran. He was an engineer. I met him 19 years ago at a soup kitchen my mom started me at. And through that journey with him, I realized he became homeless due to circumstances, but stayed homeless by choice. He had the freedom to wander from city to city, state to state, in the last 48 years on the streets. And at every chance in that relationship I had with him, I've offered him a shelter or a job he didn't necessarily want. He said, "All I want from you, Gary, is your sincere friendship, nothing else." And I gave that to him. We sometimes think we know what's best for others, but we have to accept it is their journey towards the pursuit of what they call happiness. He reckons he couldn't take all his material things to the grave with him, and I agree. And in some way, he was proud to be a homeless man. In some strange way, that was him rebelling against society and the indifference that is stigmatized with people like him. But you know what? He was happy. The arduous journey ahead may be long, and at times uncertain, but part of the journey is the end. It doesn't matter if you had a rocky start or you stumbled multiple times along the way, as long as you pick yourself up and end stronger than where you were yesterday. If you fall 7 times, get up 8 times. For Uncle, it was the beautiful people he had met along the way, the heartfelt encounters he had that made him alive and richer for it, the opportunities to inspire the young and the experience of a lifetime. It didn't matter to him how old he was when it all made sense, only that when it was all said and done, was his heart ready to have a place to call home and a family whom he has come to belong to. Today, he has an apartment. He's learning to cook for himself and is as independent as ever. This picture was taken at his first Raya open house after nearly half a century being homeless and surrounded by people he's loved that he's met along his journey. He invested in time in people and experiences and moments that he'll cherish for the rest of his life. Our tools are within our imagination. What you do with it's up to you. It's never too late to know that you're exactly where you're meant to be right now. Always remember that the universe has a way of leading you to where you're supposed to be at the exact moment you're supposed to be there. If you have a dream, go for it. You can defy the odds. You can make yourself proud. It may take you some time, but you can even make your parents proud. You can touch millions of people's lives, and the world will never be the same again because you came this way. So don't let anyone steal your dreams. Have the strength to change the things that you can, the grace to accept the things that you cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference. So go. Question the answers you were just given, challenge perception, start a rebellion. Thank you. Wait. What's in the box, right? Nothing. Thank you.